Are you a realtor who has some sort of block that's stopping you, preventing you from doing the content that you know you should be doing? You're not putting out videos, you're not writing blog articles, you're not doing a podcast, you're not doing social media content. Well, why? Well, probably it's insecurity, fear, nervousness. You don't like the way you look or sound. You don't know what to say. You're second guessing yourself, right? Well, guess what? I was the same way. And our guest on this week's episode, Matt Weber, he was the same way like a few months ago. But he's really come out of his shell in the last 4 or 5 months. He's done 150 straight videos on social media. And now he's not nervous at all, but he was. But what was it that got him started when he was super nervous? What was it that made him one of the few that actually does instead of just talks about doing or thinking about doing? This is a great episode of the Massive Agent Podcast right now. All right, guys, I'm here with Matt Weber from Dunwoody, Georgia, host and personality of What's Up, Dunwoody. Welcome to the Massive Agent Podcast, my friend. How's it going?
That was a great second try. I'm glad we got it that time.
Now, had you not said that, everyone would think
they wouldn't have known. Yeah, the first time you said Cabo, straight from Cabo, I don't know what you were talking about.
I know I said like Massive Agent Cobcast or something. But
Cobcast.
So now I don't even know why we're editing that out since they know
All right,
what happened.
Yeah, exactly. We got double the ADD on this show. There's twice the amount of squirrels. It's all gonna just completely fall apart.
We're gonna just let's just rebrand to The Shit Show. And so this is episode 1 of The Shit Show.
I got my second shot 3 hours ago. So if I turn into a zombie like halfway through, I need you to call my wife and tell her to not bring the kids home.
You might. Yes. So
you got the Kool-Aid, pass out. Yep.
Welcome to the show.
What do you want to talk about today, man? You want to talk about media company? You want to talk about what, branding, podcasting?
Dude,
Facebook
I feel like
groups?
this is already off the rails. Like this is already off the rails, but in a very good way. So you guys who may or may not know Matt Weber. So Matt and we first connected through, was it Snapchat? I swear everyone that I've been close with in the industry met through Snapchat, but that wasn't the case.
No, I had a man crush on you and listened to your podcast all the time. And then I finally said something to you. And then we kind of started up a friendship.
Okay, cool.
And then I kept hearing about EXP over and over and over. And I thought, if I'm going to go, this is the guy to go with.
Which was the wisest choice of your life. I can only assume, right? Right.
Yeah, no. When I heard Neil was coming over, then I was in.
That makes more sense. That makes much more sense than little old me. Yes. But Matt is somebody that I've known for a few years, and really over the last 3, 4, 5 months or so, Matt, like you've really come out of your shell, and you were doing an Instagram story the other day, and which you do every day now, which is, part of the story of you coming out of your shell, so to speak. But something that you said, I was like, you know what, Matt, I'm proud of you, and I've got to have you on the show because I know that there's
my time, man.
Yeah, man. Well, obviously, but there's so many agents out there that listen to the show and that are in the industry, and the vast majority of them, I think, are still stuck in their shell, and they don't ever take any serious action on stuff that we talk about every freaking week on the show. They want to, they like it, it sounds good, but they just don't because of all the same shit, the fears, insecurities, I don't have time, all that stuff. And usually it's all of the above. I assume you've had those same issues,
tough
right?
To put yourself out there. I did it like 3 years ago. I had never, done anything like that. And when you started your podcast I was listening to Pat Flynn doing the exact same stuff you were. And then, when you started your show up, I was like, all right, that's it. I just got my real estate license 6 months before that or so. And I thought, might as well do it. Let's just do it. So I went over, it was kind of funny. I kind of did the digital mayor thing for a little while where I would go around, talk to local businesses and that kind of thing. And I walked up to his Big Dave's Cheesesteaks, and this is like the best cheesesteak in all of Atlanta. And it's in Dunwoody.
Legit.
Oh man, nobody had ever heard of it really. And so I walk in there, it's in a gas station, and I asked Big Dave if I could film him. And he was like, yeah, man, best cheesesteak south of Philly. Come get us at Winners Chapel and Peeler. And I walked out to the car, like stuck the camera on my face. It was maybe my first video I've ever done. And I said, "What's up, Dunwoody? Let me introduce you to Big Dave." And What's Up, Dunwoody was born. And so I just started, branded myself as that and started doing everything under What's Up, Dunwoody. We started a podcast like a few weeks later, probably.
I had never heard the origin story of the name and everything. That's okay. So what was happening in your head at that time, 3.5 years ago, that made you decide I'm going to go do this video? Like, what got you to do the first one?
Well, with real estate, when you get into real estate, you know nothing about real estate. And so like, what was I really going to talk about? And so it was kind of one of those things. I've got my pizza place where, let's go further back. So 1995, I got a job. I was 15 years old. I got a job at the local pizza place. Right. So I get out of college and couldn't find a job that I wanted. And so me and my dad bought this pizza place. So doing pizza marketing, pizza is probably the sexiest thing besides real estate that you can market, right? Nobody cared to see pictures of pizza though. And so every social media post, this was like right as, Facebook was kind of becoming a thing and email marketing and stuff like that. And nobody cared about seeing about pizza. And so what I started doing is just talking about the community. And I would, put on there was like a, restaurant. Here's an example. A restaurant across the street burned down, right across the street burned down. And I knew that they had no social media reach. And so I brought them over and recorded a video of them saying like how they were going to reopen and that kind of thing. And when we put that out on the Dogwood Pizza Facebook page, that got like, hundreds of shares and like all these people. It's like your Topgolf story. It's like everybody in the community cared about that and saw that one local business was, putting on for another local business. And so, people just ate that up. And, those were always the posts that did the best, like pizza can only go so far, but everybody in the community cares about what's going on in the community. So, I didn't know anything about real estate. I didn't know what to talk about with real estate. So kind of just started talking about the community.
And so you decided that you were going to go over to Big Dave's, which is a great name. It just sounds like it's one of the best places for a cheesesteak, right?
Yeah.
You just decided I'm just going to go record Dave doing his thing, highlight the business. Were you nervous?
Oh yeah, super nervous. I wasn't on the video. Like it was just him.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then and then I was like, I got to do an intro or this is going to make no sense. And so that's when I said, "What's up, Dunwoody?" But yeah, I hated doing those videos. And it's funny. We are just bouncing around ADD hardcore. But when we were
I do not have it at all.
You've got a lot of squirrels, though. You do have a lot of squirrels.
Right. I'm just in denial over my ADHD.
Yeah. With the videos, though, when we were doing, did 75. You did 75 hard mid last year. Late last year, I started it up. And have you ever read Atomic Habits by James Clear with habit stacking?
So more proof that I don't have ADD. I started it and didn't finish.
Nice.
Yeah.
So while I'm doing 75 hard, I start picking up all these other things. And, Dan Parker, our buddy, was like, "Hey man, if you really want to get into YouTube, you need to start doing videos. Just do them every day." And so like while I was out running, I would do a video and I'd also be listening to Clubhouse and I'm doing all of these things at the same time. And they kind of just stacked on each other. And all of a sudden, a few months later, like it was easy and like life was just going better for me. There was, real estate just kind of took off out of nowhere and I wasn't doing anything different. It was just confidence and, like the videos, the daily videos. People really like those because I'm not talking about real estate and I'm just kind of talking about my day. There's a lot of self-deprecation like you do. And, people dig you just being honest and people trust you if you're just being real with them.
Would you say, okay, so let's talk about your daily videos that you were doing. You were doing that for you, right? You were doing that to practice doing video and just being comfortable, right?
Yeah. But then I started realizing how you can only talk to so many people, especially during COVID. And if you're talking to the camera, there's 100 people watch it maybe at minimum. And so that's 100 people a day you can talk to.
Oh, and you can scale
and they
the
talk
shit out
right
of it.
back to me too. I mean,
Yes.
it's cool. I wasn't expecting it as many messages as I get back, which, like I don't send other people messages really. I need to get better about that. But, I respond to them when they send them to me, but it's people from high school, people that I haven't talked to in forever that I didn't know even, remembered me. They're sending me messages like, oh, your journey is so awesome. It's inspirational. I'm like, oh, really just talking about soccer, talking about my kids, anything except for
There's
real
two
estate.
things. Exactly. Anything but real estate, for the love of God. But that's what works. So I want to cover two different aspects of this, because I think it's super important. Because I just now I figured out the title for this episode will be like how realtors can get out of their own shell or something like that. I'll fine tune it by the time we publish.
Title.
Not the best first draft. But here's how you do it. Okay. You just like you did in all these different situations, you started the first one. Like you recorded the first video with Big Dave. You did the first video during 75 Hard where you were just talking to the camera and kind of like recapping your day. Almost like a video diary, almost like, or well, not diary. That's girly. A video journal. It's much
I got
more
a pink
masculine.
shirt on, so I mean, diary's good.
If you guys watching on YouTube, it's like, is Matt at a gender reveal party or what, with his powder blue background and his pink shirt? It's fantastic.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Speaking of ADD, Jesus, this is a dangerous combination with you and I, Matt. Okay, so doing it the first time is key, but there's so many people, not just realtors, but so many people that they don't do the first one because of fear and insecurity. And they're like, well, what if nobody watches it? What if everyone watches it? I don't like the way I look. I don't like the way I sound, all the shit. Right. But you just did it anyways. So I think this is the distinction that's not the right word. This is something that I want to make sure that we clarify, because one of two things will happen. Either you'll start doing it and it will start getting traction. Like you were surprised in a positive way that people were watching and they were engaging, which made it easier to go on. But sometimes, depending on what it is you're talking about, sometimes maybe 3 or 4 people are watching instead of 100. And so you're like, oh my God,
I'm doing it for me,
Yes. Nobody's watching, right? Like, and people are scared of that. What if I put myself out there and nobody's watching? Well, don't put yourself out there in a way that's like so vulnerable that, it scares the shit out of you. Just like you did, talk about what you're doing, talk about what's interesting to you at the moment. So either way, I think you just have to accept the fact that, very few people could watch in the beginning, but some will. The right people will. And that will probably grow. So as you started to do these videos every day, tell us more about how that started to play out for you. Day after day, how did you feel about it? How did you feel about the reception, the engagement? Was it being well received? Tips for people who are going to do the same thing? Talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, at first I was running around the park for 75 Hard twice a day and, holding my phone in front of my face like a douchebag. And I realized that everybody was looking at me. And so kind of got past that a little bit, but I realized that I could just sit at home right before I go to bed, turn on the camera and just say, I talk for like a minute and a half, maybe. A lot of the time I have nothing to talk about, but those end up being, some of the most viewed videos. That it's just, me being vulnerable, talking about my day, talking about, whatever is on my mind. And, that's I think the best way to get people to trust you is just don't act like somebody else. Just keep acting like yourself. And, I'm not a mega agent. I don't know everything about real estate. And so I'm going to talk about the things that I know really well about real estate. And then, everything else I'll learn. Right.
Exactly. But I love how you decided to just do this daily video journal thing for you to practice. And then good things started happening. So what are some of those good things? Like, how long have you been doing it? First of all, do you know how many straight days?
Like 150 days or something.
150 straight days of publishing a video. Yep. That's cool. That's
Instagram stories.
That's cool. Cause there's 30-day challenges and all that stuff. And that's all super helpful, but 150 days, that's you nervous
what it started
anymore?
out as. I think Dan challenged me to 30 days. And then after those 30 days, it was easy. I just kept doing it. And now it's kind of a game. Like I do kind of like just turning it on not thinking about it at all and just winging it because, with the podcast, I can record and like think about what I'm saying, and then I can always cut stuff out later. With these, I mean, they're not live, but they're as close as they can be to it.
I just thought of something. When this episode goes live, I think people are going to start sending us Adderall, and they're like, "Here, you guys should probably try some of this." But that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, I thought a long time about what we were going to talk about today, and then you kind of just threw me off, and
you threw me off. You threw me off in the intro, and here we are. But I love it. I mean, this is the squirrel show.
Let's talk podcasting. Let's get back to podcasting. That's what I want to talk about.
I like how you're dictating where my podcast goes.
This is my podcast, bro. Yeah,
apparently. Yeah, but just to put a bow on that last little bit there, like it's the same with going to the gym and eating healthy and making phone calls, going door knocking, posting on social, whatever. Like doing it once, doing it the first time is by far the hardest part. Doing it the second time, much easier. Third time, even easier. And then it just keeps getting easier. So you're doing it 150 straight days. And is it fair
just
that
doing
you
something?
A
great man once said that when it comes to marketing, everything works and nothing doesn't.
Yes, a wise man. This is true.
A wise Brohm.
But are you nervous anymore when you do these videos?
No, not really. I'm more nervous for this, really. This is like out of my element. This is a little bit different. I had to buy like a webcam and stuff.
You had to buy a pink polo shirt.
Yeah.
Well, dude, you got called up to the big leagues today. I mean, this is the Massive Agent Podcast. I mean,
right.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is massive.
Yeah, so let's talk about podcasting. All right. So, yeah, you've been doing this What's Up Dunwoody podcast for just over three and a half years ish, right? Started around when I launched this show.
Exactly the same time you started your show.
What is that all about? And how has it helped you in business? Because you're not just a realtor, you run a pizza restaurant, and you're a man of the community, and kind of walk us through the business model and how it's evolved from when you first started the What's Up Dunwoody video with Big Dave. Like how it's evolved, what opportunities you see, things that you've learned that work or don't work. Because Neil Mathwig, for example, he's like for me the local podcast just didn't work, but you're like, works for me. And so there's a lot of variables there, and that's kind of the conversation that I think that would be helpful, because as you said, everything works and nothing doesn't.
Yeah, if you do nothing, it doesn't work. So yeah, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to do it by myself. It wasn't just turning on the camera. It was actually setting up a podcast, having microphones, that kind of thing. And so I recruited my brother-in-law, who just has, he can say anything to anybody, at any time. And the two of us, we sat on his back deck and we pulled out the Dunwoody Crier and we read over some topics and just talked about what was in the paper. This is two guys who have lived in the city he's lived here for even longer than I have. I'd lived there for 10 years at the time, knew nothing about Dunwoody. But we had this crier. We just kind of read a headline. We kind of made fun of the headline. We made 3 episodes while we were drinking a few beers, and then we decided to throw those episodes away. A few days later, we recorded 3 more episodes, and those were okay. We put those out. It was like, I think 7 people listened to the first one. I think 10 people listened to the second one. Third one is about the same way. And, they just got better. It was just doing something, and it was terrifying at first. When we put those first ones out, you remember, like, it's scary. You don't know what anybody's going to say. And with podcasting, though, it's not. With the video, somebody can send you a message immediately, right? With the podcast, you're not prompted to do that. And so it's kind of like, is somebody going to listen? Is anybody, there's not any negative comment unless you get a bad review or something like that, but nobody does that. And so, those 3 episodes, we put them out, didn't hear from anybody. Like our family might've listened to them and said, oh yeah, that was great. Episodes 3, 4, 5, 6, nobody really listened. And then we got a call from a guy that lives in the community that ran for city council, was like a popular guy. His name's Hayward. And he said, I think it's super cool what you guys are doing. And I want to be part of it. I want to, I'd love to introduce you to people around town, guys you didn't know. And since then, we've done 180 episodes. We've never had to ask, anytime I've asked somebody to come on the show, they've done it. There's been like maybe a handful of people that didn't want to do it. And it's because they were scared, like what we would say to them, or, just getting on the microphone. But yeah, it was from there. We've had tons of people on. We've had our Georgia Attorney General. We've had county commissioners. We had the sheriff on, TED Talk speakers, comedians, musicians, head football coach, Matt LaMarche. Your boy Matt LaMarche was on one time. I've had other real estate agents on. We had the commissioner of GDOT. We've had, a bunch of reporters, YouTube stars, and but mostly like my favorite ones are the small business owners and the restaurant owners, because that's kind of, those are my boys, right? Those are the ones that don't have access to a following already. And so when you're starting up a business, you have nothing and you have nobody to help you out, right? And so coming on our show, we can put you out to a bunch of people. And, it's kind of a win-win, because there's this, it's called NFA Burger. It's like most popular. It actually got voted the best burger in all of Atlanta. It's in Dunwoody, right? So that guy came to me and said, hey, I want you to put us out, like we're going to open up. I don't want to go to all of these big publications. I want you to do it. I want you to tell everybody that we're coming. And so we had all of this man's SEO for like 3 months probably, because he had just started a website. We had a successful website. And anytime you typed in NFA Burger, it would go to our podcast. So, I mean, it's kind of a win-win, those folks have no access to a following. We put them out, and then, they only hear from us about NFA Burger.
That right there, where a lot of agents are going to get screwed up, is they start thinking about direct ROI. Well, that's great, Matt, but how many listings did you get from it? Right. Well, I'm sure that you did get some listings, but not like publish that podcast episode, get a listing presentation. Like it happens indirectly.
That has happened actually, but
I don't doubt it. But would you say it's fair that the majority of the upside that's come from your podcast has happened indirectly and in weird ways? Like one thing connects to another, connects to another, connects to another.
It's somebody that I've never met that lives in a neighborhood 3 neighborhoods away. That's like, I think it's cool what you did for that, for that guy starting that burger joint. Like, I want to use you as a real estate agent. And really the podcast has been great. We've reached like, it's almost 60,000 people now and 60,000 downloads. And, but what's more beneficial to me is like the Facebook page, the Instagrams and that kind of stuff, where you can publish those episodes. And those, like, a lot of people aren't going to listen to podcasts. What do we say? Like 50% of the people have never listened to a podcast, but most people are on Facebook. And so when you see that guy's put out 180 episodes about our city of 50,000 people, like that guy knows the city, and if I'm holding an open house and, a bunch of people come in and I start talking to them, and then I just happen to throw in like at a random time, have you ever heard of What's Up Dunwoody? And they go, yeah, I listened to, or you hope they listen, but I've seen that on Facebook,
Yeah. They've at least
that's
seen
my
it.
client. That's my client right there. If they've heard me and know who I am, like they're not going to use anybody else, because I formed the rapport.
And you've built credibility for yourself.
Yep.
That's something that's so underestimated that we all have control over. The reason that I've been able to speak at a conference, or somebody pays me to do a keynote at their, or a training or something, or, I've been invited on this podcast or whatever, it's because I decided just over 3 years ago to create my own credibility, to launch my own show. Like, I'm just like, I'm going to launch it. I'm going to be a show host, and I created my own credibility. And over time that builds, and you're at an open house and people, maybe they don't know who you are, but they certainly know the What's Up Dunwoody brand. They've seen the website, they've seen an article shared, they've heard about the podcast or something. Even if they don't listen, but just the fact that you are that person, instant credibility in their eyes. They're like, okay, yep. This is the person. Like this Matt guy, he's the one.
Absolutely.
That is such a huge deal. You cannot buy that amount of credibility in someone's eyes. You can earn it, and you can earn it by starting your own damn show, or doing videos on social media, or writing articles on a website. All of the above. or one of the above. It's incredible.
Yeah,
So,
that's actually been helpful for us too, is having the website and sending people to that website instead of sending people.
Yep.
We use Chartable, right? Actually sending people to the website has been really beneficial because we're able to write blogs. So my brother-in-law does, he puts together this holiday lights map, I think he calls it, where it's like a Google map and you can go on and it'll show you all of the best areas of Dunwoody and take you through each neighborhood to show you where the best houses are with the best lights, like Christmas lights, and that's, I want to say it was like 20,000 people saw it just this year. It got put in all the papers, and I mean, it was a big deal around here at least. And so it's the little stuff like that comes off of the podcast. Like nobody would find that blog if it wasn't for the podcast. It's just like instant social proof.
Right. I'm curious. So with this burger joint that opened, NFA, I think you said, when they came to you wanting you to kind of help them launch or promote them, was that a paid thing?
No, well, to go deeper, he's paid us before, but to go deeper into that. So that guy, this is a cool story, actually. That guy had like 60,000 followers on Instagram before he ever opened his shop. He would go around, this is an advertising genius. He would go around while he was traveling for his other job and go to all these different cities and post pictures of burgers in those different cities. And eventually his following grew, and he started being able to call like, "Hey, Dustin, I'm coming to New York. Can I come by and talk to you about your burgers?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, of course. You can put us out to all your followers." So he would find little bits of information about those burgers, and that's how he learned how to make the best burger. So when he opened in Dunwoody, he had like, I think it was like 60,000 Instagram followers that he was able to just blast that out to. And then coming on our show, we were able to tell all the locals about it, and it was cool.
And there's so much you can do with that. Agents, here's what really boggles my mind, but I completely understand, because I was this way for the vast majority of my career. Probably like 70% of my career, I thought this way, that real estate agents make money by selling homes. They make money off the commission by selling homes.
Yeah.
Yes, that is true, but it doesn't have to be limited to that, does it?
Yep.
So when you have a podcast like that or a website that the community visits, you can.
We've got some sponsors and
ads.
stuff. Yeah, for sure.
Sponsorships, ads. You can do paid promotion. So if a restaurant's going to open and they come to you and they're like, "Hey, would you have us on your show, or would you do an article about us, or would you promote us on social?" You can put together a little package like, "Yes, for X amount, we will do this," and that's a win-win. So there's so many revenue streams that are possible to a realtor just by doing the stuff that helps them get business to sell the homes and earn the commission. But most agents are just focused on that damn commission.
Yep. It's just the relationships that you're building too. So much can come of it. That holiday lights thing, Billy from NFA sponsored that this year and gave us some money for that. We've got like every podcast, we mentioned the same two businesses, and they've been paying us for a while. And we've got like advertising on the website, that kind of thing. But it's more. So I play soccer about a mile from here, right? About a mile from my house. There's this amazing soccer field that was just built. Well, the guys that are running it aren't from around here, don't really know Dunwoody. And so they came to me and said, "Hey, do you think you could help us find like a sponsor for this?" And, he was like, we might need maybe like $1,000. And I was like, yeah. So while I'm sitting there, I texted 4 different local businesses, and we had $1,500 within it was probably 10 minutes. And I was like, all right, yeah. So now we've got jerseys. The entire team or entire league has jerseys that say, "What's up, Dunwoody," NFA Burger, Porter, Village Orthodontics, all of our sponsors, all of my boys are on every jersey. And so, I mean, that's well worth the $250, $500 they spent on it.
As we're going through this, I'm realizing how much more I could do to monetize the massive agent stuff, the website, the podcast. I've had sponsors before. I'm super picky because I want to make sure that it's somebody that I actually believe in, somebody that I've used, something, it's not like I'm going to be like, "Hey, try out this face cream." Like today's episode is sponsored by this face cream. You're not going to hear that on the show, but there's so many other ways to monetize. And it's not about just like grabbing money from everywhere. It's about creating a better experience for the listener, right? Or the reader, if it's your website. They are there to learn about the community. And if they're there to hear about something great, and then you're like, hey, we've kind of endorsed this, these orthodontics, or we've endorsed this burger place. Most people are like, hey, I need a dentist. Who the hell do I choose? And then somebody that they trust and look up to and respect is like, hey, try out Village. And they're like, okay, like that's a good thing. And the fact that you're compensated for it is great, because it encourages you as the media company to do more of it, and to, actually carve out time to do it, to help the business, like,
yep. And those are my boys. I've had plenty of other people offer us money for, car washes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like, I don't want them on the podcast. I mean, these are, and, Brett with Village Orthodontics, like he's brought me plenty of guests that, he's like, I vouch for this person, have them on, which is also really cool, because we're able to help them out and help their friends out.
That's cool.
There's just all kinds of connections.
I know that this question is going to pop into way too many people's heads, but it will. That's great, Matt. But how many homes has it helped you sell? Can you talk a little bit about how the podcast, and not the exact number of homes, but how has it helped your real estate business by doing the What's Up Dunwoody media company model?
It's just kind of proof. Like the What's Up Dunwoody name has sold all of my houses. I mean,
wow.
Like pretty much every house that I've sold has something to do with What's Up Dunwoody,
wow.
Because I don't talk about real estate. Like I have a hard time cramming real estate down people's throat, but I can kind of throw it into What's Up Dunwoody. And so, you can only talk about business with your friends so much, but if you're putting it on a brand that they're going to look at anyway, like, I'd say that probably 75% of the homes that I've sold have something to do with the podcast. And then, also like the video marketing and stuff like that. So whenever we do a video, or whenever I do like a real estate video, so we had a listing in the neighborhood, and I was trying to figure out what I could talk about with this listing. It was a pretty house, but you can only show so many houses. And so I went down to our neighborhood pool, which is being rebuilt. And I had a drone photographer fly over. And I just said, this is a brand new pool, Dunwoody North. Best part about it is it's right down the street from my newest listing. And then I hop on my bike with the kids, and then the drone flies up in the air. When the drone came down, we were pulling in the driveway of that house. And it was just like a cute video, and it got people to watch it because the first 30 seconds of it was about their neighborhood pool. And nobody knew that this pool was being built. And so the whole community was able to see that pool. Another listing of mine, they're building a school right up the street from the listing. And, it's like almost $1 million listing. And the first, I'd say probably 20, 30 seconds of the video was about that school that's being built down the street, and it's about the community. And that's when I put that on What's Up Dunwoody, people that are on What's Up Dunwoody want to see about the community. And so I can kind of hook them with that. And then also there's, I sell houses too.
And I think most agents completely underestimate how closely related what's going on in the community is with homes. Like, because if people are interested in the community, they're going to want to live there, or they already do. Like they're literally this, like what's going on in the community and sales of homes. But most agents are only focused on talking about selling homes. Talk about the damn community, because that's what people care about. That's what they'll tag their friends in. They'll share with their friends. People find who are in Salt Lake City but looking to move to the Atlanta area, and they'll start Googling it, and they'll find your podcast or your website, and they'll
the Facebook groups are a huge one. If you type in Dunwoody community, the Dunwoody community forum has like 4,000 people in it, and that's like the first thing that comes up. And so that's where people go to look for a house. I've had a really hard time with that recently, because everybody, with all the buyer needs, everybody's posting real estate stuff into that group. And I've had a hard time because I'm kind of a control freak with it. So I've taken a lot of them down, and, but it's also kind of like, oh, this person needs to sell. Like, they came to me. Most of the stories and most of the guests I found from those Facebook groups too. And that's a huge part of What's Up Dunwoody, is those Facebook groups, because I've got Dunwoody Area Community Forum and Dunwoody Area Restaurant Reviews. And so anytime there's a new restaurant, that is the very first place that it pops up. So I don't have to go out and find those stories anymore. They're brought to me. Like I'm the first one that sees them. And you know how it is with Facebook groups. When you're excited about something in your community, you want to be the first person to put that into the group, you know? Like people get off on that kind of thing. Is like, you know, oh yeah, I was the first person to hear about NFA Burgers, new hours opening until 7 p.m. And so they throw it into that group, and then I just share that post, you know?
Yes.
And I look like the hero.
You created basically like the online community for your community.
Yeah. The digital mayor.
Right.
I know that term gets thrown around a lot, but I think that's a pretty good term for it.
I agree. How many people are in Dunwoody? I mean, so let's get some context here, you know, and let me kind of go to the end before we go back here. What I screwed up with in the beginning as an agent is my mentor was telling me, pick a farm area that's maybe half a mile radius. He's like, the smaller it is, the better it's going to be. And in my stupid little brain that didn't understand these things, I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense. If I want to sell more homes and make more money, why wouldn't I focus on the whole damn city of Salt Lake?
You gotta go niche.
So I did. Right. And I realized that is the worst possible thing you can do. And so by focused on Dunwoody, Georgia, which I've never heard of until I met you, you know, and the last time I was in Atlanta, I was driving north up into, is it Alpharetta?
Yeah, I remember. You saw the sign.
I saw the sign and I was like, Matt Weber.
That's what I want people to think, you know?
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah, 50,000 people, 50,000 people in the city. It's right off of Atlanta. You know, it's maybe like 20 miles north of Atlanta. It's right at the top of the perimeter at 285. And
is it, yeah, I mean, it's a suburb or like a separate city?
It's all neighborhood. It's a suburb. It's a suburb. Yeah. And there's, you know, cities of suburbs around. And so, I mean, they've all got the possibility of doing that, but everybody's hardcore about their city, you know, like they want their city to be the best. And if I can be part of their city being the best, that's great. From
even though I'm not there in Dunwoody, but from what I've seen from you online, it seems like you've actually helped cultivate pride in the Dunwoody area. Is
positivity for sure. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And I mean, I don't have, if somebody's going to be negative and want to come on the show, they're not going to come on the show, you know, and we've had politicians every time there's, you know, some sort of election, we try to have every not contestant, but like everybody that's running for that position on the show. Yeah. And it starts to get a little negative. We've had a hard time with that, but you know, that you want to get those people's views out to the whole community. Like you want the community to understand who they're voting for. You know what I mean? And so like, that's the best way there's no better way than a podcast to get to know somebody. Right. And if you have somebody on the podcast and, you know, like the whole community can get to know that person. And if you're voting for somebody, that's important. Right.
Absolutely. I wasn't even planning on mentioning this, but it reminded me of it when Bernie Sanders was on the Joe Rogan podcast. That was huge for Bernie Sanders because he was actually able to talk in depth and in detail and at length about certain policies and whatnot. Now, some of us might be like, he actually made it worse. You know, like now we see how crazy you really are. But some people who like that were like, oh, that makes sense. Like I like that. So I think that's super, super valuable, especially at a local level, because then it's not at the local level, it's not so ridiculous with, you know, this person's evil, this person's the savior, you know, it's not quite that at a local level. It's more people just looking for the best person to lead. And so I think that's super smart that you do that. And I'm sure that
it's talking about the topics, the best topics in the community, the most important topics in the community is what they're, you know, rallying behind. And, you know, when we have like a school board representative on against another school board representative, something positive is going to come from that. You know what I mean? Like there's a discussion that's had that all of Dunwoody gets to listen to. Yeah. So that's important.
So you've been doing the podcast and the media company for 3.5 years. You've been doing 150 plus days of your social videos. What's a tip that you'd give somebody an agent who's listening, that they're in the same spot that you were, and they're like, you know, everything Matt's saying, I understand, it makes sense. I just need to do it myself. Like, because you've been in that spot, I've been in that spot. What what advice would you give aside from just doing it, which I think is perfect advice, but beyond that, with a little more meat on the bone, what advice would you give to somebody who wants to start following the path that you took?
I think that I would have stopped doing it if it was stuff that I didn't enjoy. You know, if it was a podcast about something that I could care less about, like, how are you supposed to continue that, you know? But
Right.
you're able to craft it and make it your own thing. You know, and the videos, it's just like 75 Hard was maybe like the most inspirational thing in my entire life. Like, I've grown so much over the last year, more than the last 10 years. And, you know, you were a lot of that. EXP was a lot of that. The people I've been around on our team were a lot of that, like Dan and TJ and, you know, Christian, all those guys. Like, that's cool. Like, being surrounded, you always hear surround yourself. What is it? The 5 people that are closest to you, you become, you know, was that Jim Rome? Like that, you want to surround yourself with good people. And then Clubhouse was a big part of that too, because you don't get access to thought leaders like that. You know, like, we've become closer because of Clubhouse. Like, there's a lot of people, you know, like, you know, every podcast I've ever listened to, like Greg McDaniel, he's somebody that, you know, Uncensored, I've listened to that for a long time, longer than I've known you. And, you know, like the first day that he was on Clubhouse, I was having a conversation with him on stage. I was like, this is so cool.
Right.
You know, you just surround yourself with people, you know, good people that are going to push you to be your best. And, you know, I think that's what's most important. Do something.
Yes. Do something for the love of God.
You know, you should be doing something. So just do that thing.
Yes. Great advice. I want to make sure we have time for the rapid fire questions, my friend. It's one of my favorite parts of the show. So let's do that. And then we'll let everybody know where they can find you and follow you and hear more about what you are up to. And spoiler alert, just look in the show notes of the podcast or the description if you're watching on YouTube. Spoiler alert. All right, Matt, rapid fire questions, either or. You can elaborate if you'd like. You don't have to. Or we can just blow through them if you'd like. Facebook or Instagram?
I would have said Facebook hardcore until 3 months ago, since Clubhouse. And now I've gone, like, especially with all the stories too. I'm really enjoying Instagram. I had a private, I am going to go deeper. Here we go. So I had private page, right? Private Instagram page. I think I had like 500 of my friends and family, you know, nobody was seeing. I opened that thing up when I got onto Clubhouse and started doing the stories. And I think it's at least doubled, if not more than that. I mean, and people are reaching out to me to come on stuff like this and, you know, Michelle's thing. And like, it's cool. It's instant access again to people that I've looked up to for years.
That's cool. Yeah. It took me a minute to really get Instagram. I don't know if I like it more than Facebook.
The stories are cool. The stories are, and then the fact that it just feeds to Facebook because you're doing the same thing, you know?
The stories, yes. Which, by the way, you need a creator account, and then you can have your Instagram, you go to your Instagram profile stories, and then go to your personal Facebook story, but you need the creator account on Instagram to do that. Can't do that with a business account.
Yes, agreed.
That's a big deal right there. Yeah, I think
don't ask burgers or pizza.
We haven't gotten there yet, but we're damn sure going to get there. Yeah, Instagram or LinkedIn?
Oh, Instagram.
Instagram or Clubhouse?
Ooh, Clubhouse. Love
Really?
Clubhouse. Yes.
See,
we've built something. Me and Matt have built something, and Marist, we've built some stuff on Clubhouse. It's cool. The Atlanta real estate market. Have I talked to you about this? So we've got an Atlanta real estate. We've got Atlanta real estate market club on Clubhouse, and so every Tuesday, Thursday at 8 a.m. we go on, and we've met so many cool people. That's why I was talking to you about Glenda Baker. You got to have her on the podcast, man. She's awesome. But we've met all of the powerful agents, or all of the coolest agents in Atlanta on Clubhouse, and they're up on stage with us every time. And there's like 700 people in the group.
That's cool. Yeah, that is cool. I'm just inventing new questions for you. So, Clubhouse or podcasts?
Ooh, I don't know. I've been listening to a lot more Clubhouse, but I still think they feed off each other, you know? Like, I've learned of a lot of Katie Day. I've learned of a lot of cool people that are starting podcasts, and, you know, from Clubhouse. So I'd go Clubhouse.
Awesome. Podcasts or books?
I don't read books. I do audio books, but I'd say podcast probably. But I've read a lot of audiobooks too. Let me tell you something here. So from high school until 5 years ago, I had never read a book. Never read a book.
Yep.
Since then, I've listened to like 150 audiobooks, probably multiple times.
Yes.
I'm just, yeah.
Love it. Yeah. I didn't start reading till 5 or 6 years ago. And I've read a shit.
It was just so hard for me. But audiobooks, I mean, these AirPods never leave my ears.
Right. Okay. So podcasts or audiobooks?
Podcast still.
iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
Alexa or Google Home?
The first one.
Smart. I know what you did there, Matt. I think we all know what you did there. Burgers or pizza?
Pizza.
New York or LA?
New York. Not the biggest fan of either one of them, though. I know that's not a popular opinion, but
New York's the best and the worst.
Yeah.
And the worst, in many, many, many ways, but it's such a cool city. NFL or NBA?
NFL.
College or pro?
College. I like UGA a lot, but I'll probably go pro on most of them.
Okay. Mountains or beach?
Mountains.
Podcast or vlogs?
Jeez. Podcasts.
Okay. YouTube or Facebook Live?
YouTube.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or Millionaire Real Estate Agent?
I'm not a big fan of either one of them.
Not even
Atomic
Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
Habits. No, Atomic Habits and The Compound Effect. Two best books ever written.
Those are your write-in candidates? Okay.
Yeah. You asked me to go further on some of them, so that's further.
Compound Effect. Is that Darren Hardy?
Yeah.
Nice.
Success.com.
That's right. Uber or Lyft?
Uber.
Gary Vee or Grant Cardone?
I've actually, Cardone's grown on me over the last couple months, but Gary Vee.
Nice. What's the most impactful book that you've read or listened to?
Atomic Habits, probably. Love it.
Nice.
I've listened to that probably 20 or 30 times over the last couple of years.
Oh, wow. Maybe I should finish the first one.
Yeah, it's so good.
Where can people find you, Matt? What's the best place they can connect with you and find you?
Just find me on Facebook, probably. Matthew Weber on Facebook or whatsupdunwoody.com. You can go see all the podcasts.
Nice.
There's a good Neil Mathwig podcast too. Have you heard that one?
I have. Yeah, I was the 1-star review for that episode.
Oh, really?
That was me.
We have got a couple of 1 stars.
What?
Doesn't bother me though.
What kind of douches would do such a thing?
Exactly.
I see. With podcasting, I thought that only the 5-star button worked. I didn't know that 4 through 1 even worked. Because everyone,
I've never given a 1-star review.
Right. Yeah.
As a restaurant owner, reviews are important. They really are.
Now for
You
restaurants,
can't throw 1 stars around.
Yeah, reviewing podcasts and restaurants, totally different deals. Like I understand people
Same
give poor
jerks.
reviews.
Yeah.
Right.
Same.
Well,
jerks.
some restaurants deserve that shit.
Okay, you're that guy, aren't you?
I have been. I've given some 1-star reviews, but like in ridiculous, like mind melting situations.
Yeah.
And they were given so that like whoever's in charge of this thing can like, do you have any idea what's happening here with this crazy manager?
I gotcha.
Yeah. It's not like I wouldn't remove it. But yeah, that's why. Anyways, Matt, thanks for being on the show, my friend.
Yeah, man, it was great. A lot of fun.
Absolutely. I appreciate you sharing your journey. You've been doing some really cool shit. So if you guys are watching on YouTube, just click down into the description and we have links to all of Matt's social, including Instagram, which he didn't mention there, but he said it was his favorite. So we'll throw
Weber.
Instagram. Yes. We'll throw his Instagram link in there and then what's up Dunwoody and all that good stuff. Appreciate it.
Sounds good, man. Yeah, appreciate it.
Talk to you soon.